Hey there, welcome to Takeaway with Sam Oches, a podcast from Nation's Restaurant News. I am Sam Oches, editor-in-chief here at NRN, and this is the show where I give you an all-access pass to the restaurant industry's most influential decision makers. This week I'm talking with Alex Smith. He is the founder and president of Atlas Restaurant Group, a Baltimore-based outfit that has more than 30 concepts in its portfolio, employing 2,000 people in 5 markets. Alex and his co-founder and brother, Eric, are Baltimore natives, and they're deeply committed to the economic revitalization of the city. And Alex joined the podcast to talk about the power that restaurants have in transforming cities and why new concept development is important to broadening the impact you have in each of the markets where you operate. In this conversation, you'll learn more about why you should build restaurants to last 20 years rather than 2, how high-quality restaurants give you an opportunity to hire high-quality people, and how providing moments to serve your communities is an excellent retention strategy. Jumping now into my interview with Atlas Restaurant Group founder and president Alex Smith. Also, don't forget to stick around after the interview as I will share my 6 takeaways from this discussion, actionable insights that you can take with you on the go. Are you interested in making milkshakes or smoothies at the push of a button? With no measuring, scooping, or pouring required, For Real by Riches offers pre-made milkshakes that you'll be able to customize and serve in under a minute. Plus, the blender only takes up 9 inches of counter space and plugs into a standard 120-volt outlet. Could it get any easier? The answer is yes. Check out the For Real by Riches B7 blender today. Restaurant leaders need 2 things to grow their businesses. They need connections to better inform their decision-making, and they need a break. Running a restaurant company is hard work. Nation's Restaurant News is offering both this fall at our Create Experience. Held October 1st through 3rd in beautiful Palm Springs, California, the Create Experience promises to be an unforgettable 3 days for growth-minded restaurateurs. Better yet, it's totally free for restaurant leaders. Join us in Palm Springs to be a part of this one-of-a-kind experience. Visit create.nrn.com/Palm Springs to learn more and to register. That's create.nrn.com/Palm Springs. Okay, Alex Smith of Atlas Restaurant Group. Alex, thanks so much for joining today. Alex, for those listening who are not familiar with your Baltimore-based group, tell us a little bit about the story of Atlas, how it came to be.
Yeah, well, I started honestly right out of college with a Haagen-Dazs franchise. And soon after that, built a deli diner, and then opened up our first fine dining restaurant, which was Uzo Bay. And then we ended up getting into a high-end Japanese restaurant, which was Izumi, and shortly after that, Lock Bar, which is basically an American tavern. And so we thought, we're doing all these different types of cuisines and concepts, so we thought Atlas was an appropriate name.
Interesting. To go from Haagen-Dazs to a deli to a high-end concept, walk me through sort of your progression of why you made that progression, I guess.
Yeah, so it wasn't right away. It was over years, but just got in the ice cream business. First off, really easy to run an ice cream business. Really only one product you have to worry about selling, and the product's frozen. So not a lot of, obviously, prep and back of house preparation to get the concept going. Next was the deli diner. Did pizza, cheesesteaks, sandwiches, all sorts of crab cakes, salads, all sorts of deli related items with an expansive menu. It was really more of a diner than a deli, you can say. And so that was after a few years, and after 4 or 5 years of doing that, I thought, I really want to try fine dining, and I chose Mediterranean because of I have Greek heritage. My grandfather was from Chios, and my grandmother was from Samos. So, I'm 100% Greek on one side of my family, and so that's how we got into the Mediterranean business. And it was something that was familiar to me, and I traveled over there and studied it and looked at the menus, and that's how I got into that business.
Gotcha. So then you guys have expanded now to 30 plus concepts. And I think it's really interesting because of course you might get to a stage where you decide I'm going to scale this one concept and I'm all in on one thing, either franchise it, corporate growth, whatever, but it's like, you're focused on that one concept, or you go the route you've taken, which is to diversify your portfolio, develop unique concepts. Why did you want to go that route to where you have all of these different concepts in your group?
Yeah, so great question. One of the reasons that we do so many different concepts in the Maryland area, and specifically Baltimore, is we're really trying to invigorate and change the city through F&B. So, we've got a slogan that kind of we say around our Baltimore properties, which is city needs it. And, we saw a city of Baltimore, which has so much potential, but not a lot of investment into F&B concepts. And so we thought, how cool would it be just to continue to build concepts in this city, build a workforce in this city, and give back to the city in that we're creating experiences for Baltimoreans that they would never normally have unless they were out of market. And so one of the reasons we're opening so many concepts is really for the benefit of the city and the people of the state of Maryland. But you can see that in other markets, we're growing brands that we've had a lot of success with in Baltimore. So, Lock Bar, we'll have our fourth Lock Bar opening in Philly this summer. Marmo, our Italian concept, which opens in Houston. We've got 2 potential locations down in South Florida right now we're looking at, and another in Dallas. So we're expanding concepts that have worked really well for us in this market, but we look at Baltimore as a giant test bed for things that we want to grow nationally.
So you couldn't put 30 of one concept in Baltimore. In other words, diversifying your portfolio allows you to really dig deep into Baltimore.
Correct. And not only that, but just provide really interesting and unique spaces for the city. I mean, our goal is that when tourists come to Baltimore and locals alike, I can't believe this is Baltimore is the reaction we hear all the time. We've got some restaurants here that are, Las Vegas, LA, New York restaurants. And so when people come and they see that and experience it, it's great for the city and it's great for locals alike.
Yeah, I love this notion. I lived for about 13 years in Durham, North Carolina, and I saw the same thing happen to Durham, which was when I moved there. It was pretty empty downtown. People told you to stay away. By the time I left, there were cranes all over the place, and restaurants were responsible. Chefs moved into the cheap real estate, and they really revitalized it. Tell me more about this notion of kind of rejuvenating a city through restaurants. I don't think there's one blueprint for this because every city is different. But How is this working in Baltimore? What kind of energy have you brought to the city through restaurants?
Yeah, so in Baltimore, from when we started, which is 11 years ago to now, at the end of this year, we'll have like 20 different concepts in the city. We're like what Steven Starr has done in Philadelphia, where 20 different concepts will employ close to 2,000 people in the city. We're getting out and making an impact in the community, whether it's helping out at homeless shelters, to Ronald McDonald House, to doing.
Do you want to take this idea of, there's a term that I am familiar with. I believe P.T. Barnum might have been the first to come up with it. It's philanthropic capitalism. And it's sort of this idea of, you're still a for-profit business, but like you're bringing positive change to something at the same time in a sort of philanthropic nature. Do you want to bring that sense to other cities too, like you've done to Baltimore, or are other markets, is that just more about, the expansion and the business model of it?
Yeah, well, obviously Dallas does not need, the type of philanthropic capitalism that a city like Baltimore does. Well, Dallas is a number 3 market in the country, ton of wealth, ton of money, ton of infrastructure that we don't have here in our city. So I can tell you that, we're looking in Dallas, and if we open up there, it's not for philanthropic capitalism. We want to come, we want to compete, we want to be competitive, we want to make money. It's the same with, Houston, Texas. It's the same with South Florida. It's the same with Philadelphia. We want to go and expand our brands and compete. What we're doing with our brands is we're finding markets that don't really have what we have here and figuring out where our brands fit well. And I'll just give you, for instance, like seafood, Lock Bar, which we're flying fresh seafood in all over the place. Not a lot of great seafood restaurants in Houston, and Lock Bar fits in nicely there. We could say the same about Dallas. Not many oyster bars where you're getting 12 to 14 fresh, different types of oysters flowing in every day in Dallas. So it's about finding what is lacking in the marketplace and kind of putting your spin on it. That's kind of our belief as we expand into other markets. Where do we fill a niche in the market, to where our product and our entertainment offering is unique, and how can we kind of make an impact in that marketplace as far as F&B.
What goes into the decision between developing a new concept for a market or expanding one of your existing concepts into that market?
Yeah, so all of the concepts that we're expanding into new markets are concepts that have been opened and proven here at home in Baltimore. We're not opening anything that is essentially a one-off in a new market. It's all stuff that we've done that we see things that can expand on a national scale, like our lock bar concept, which we have four. Those are the things that we're expanding to other markets.
Gotcha. I'm curious about the idea of concept development in general, because I mean, if you get 30 concepts, I mean, at a certain point, you might start running out of concepts. I mean, obviously there's always infinite ideas to do, but what goes into developing a concept for Atlas Restaurant Group? How do you guys start that process? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah, so this is a passion of mine. It's what I love. But if we were to start a new concept, what we would do is, let's say we're opening a French restaurant. We travel. We go to Paris. We go to 20 or 30 best restaurants we can find in both the United States and in France for the particular type of concept we're trying to do. And we go and we see how they operate. We look at what they're serving. We look at their wine list looks like. We look at what their entertainment offering is. We look at design elements. And then we come back to the office. We put a mood board together of what we want the space to look and feel like. We work with our culinary team on what we want the food to taste and look like on a plate. We talk to our wine sommelier about what the best restaurants in that area are doing from a beverage standpoint, and we start to pull pieces together. And then we work with talented designers, and really it's a sharing of ideas to really put our best foot forward on a conceptualization.
And how do you follow, trends? I mean, because obviously trends in the restaurant industry change really quickly, and you see these kind of movements come and go. And again, not to pick on any particular one, but you think of something like poke, and it, kind of comes in with a bang, and it settles into the niche that it now occupies. But a lot of people kind of jump in because it's hot at that moment. How do you sort of weigh the consumer trends that are going on out there for your concepts? Because you clearly want something that's going to last a long time.
Yeah, so my kind of so first off, trends in dining change all the time, especially in food, and we leave it up to our culinary team to figure out what those trends are and figure out how to adapt and integrate them into what we're doing. But as far as our designs and builds, we build things that last. I mean, we build classic types of places, and we spend money on our builds, and it's not just like a trendy build where it's like the hot thing and, the Instagrammable neon. Like the stuff we're building, the stores are very classic, a lot of millwork. They'll stand the test of time. Everything we're looking at that we're building, we hope to last 25 years and more. And some of the properties that we own are historic properties that have been around hundreds of years. Couple bars, we own a live music venue, we own the Valley Inn in Baltimore County. I mean, the restaurant's 200 years old. So some of the stuff we have are very historic properties, and I'm more of a classic guy. And so I feel like if you just invest in the integrity of the build and you put a quality product out and you do a great job with service and hospitality, it's something that you can continue to build. I mean, most people, they don't understand. You don't build a restaurant for 2 or 3 years, you build it for 20 plus years. And we hope to do that.
And to that end, I mean, you're building these high-end concepts, in an age where convenience has become important to restaurants. Certainly cost is on top of everybody's minds. And you see in the QSR fast casual industry, everybody's trying to shrink the footprint, trying to accomplish efficiencies, really leaning off into off-premises service. And so you're essentially doing the opposite with this very hospitality-focused high-end concept. Tell me about the potential for that side of the industry, because clearly there's still an opportunity to give people hospitality and that high-end experience. But why are you really all in on that side of the industry?
Well, I will tell you that I just think that, one, I think that finding consummate professionals to run your properties when you're investing high-end dollars and investing in high-end product is infinitely easier than finding competent leadership to run, let's say, a Cava or a Sweet Green. You can pay twice what a manager makes at a Cava. The bonus structure is going to be better. The longevity is going to be better. And people want to be in a place where it's a sophisticated upscale environment on a day-to-day basis. They may not want to work a Cava on a day-to-day basis. So finding quality people to really run and be entrenched in your store for the long haul is much better, I think, with a higher-end brand. And so the other thing is Cava has, 300 stores. Rather than finding 300 managers, I need to find 30. So you can really focus on quality people to run your organization. But to me, the thing that we offer that fast casuals don't is integrity of product. I mean, everything I'm putting on the table, I can stand by. We find the very best product that we can, and we charge for it. And that comes with the price point, obviously. But in my experience, how you build a loyal customer base, more important than service and more important than hospitality is quality of product. People bad service in a restaurant, but if they don't like what they're consuming, they're never coming back. If they love what they're consuming and they have maybe a bad service experience or a bad hospitality experience, they're going to come back and give you a second chance. But it starts with what you consume. If the food isn't good and the beverage isn't good, they're not coming back. So number one is quality of product, integrity of product. Two is obviously service and hospitality. And three is entertainment. One of the things that fast casuals miss is there's really not an entertainment component to fast casuals. And as you see the entertainment movement starting to evolve, and when I mean entertainment, we're not a bowling alley. We're not Flight Club. We're not, some of these ping pong and other things, that axe throwing and things like that. But what we are is we are a restaurant that invests millions of dollars every year in live entertainment, whether it's live piano, whether it's DJ, whether it's acoustical music, whether it's jazz, whatever it is. We have some kind of entertainment component going on in all of our properties. So that's not something you normally see in fast casual. So really, what are people paying for? They're paying for the quality of product, the entertainment, and they're paying for the hospitality.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but it also sounds like the mission you're on, particularly in Baltimore, the concepts you've designed maximize that impact, because if you just pumped a bunch of fast casuals into Baltimore, you're not having that same impact, right?
Correct. It's about developing. We're doing more than just feeding people. We're really developing a culture within the city. We have hundreds of artists that work for us nationwide, and to have them be integrated into what we're doing from an F&B perspective, and then you mix in that arts perspective. It's super cool.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it sort of fuels a lot of other industries, not just the restaurant industry. So let's get into this concept of culture, because as I understand it, you guys have 2,000 employees. You guys are really focused on building this culture. You're focused on retention. That's been true in the last couple of years, even as many restaurants, particularly independent restaurants, have struggled in this regard. Tell me about some of the efforts you put into building culture at Atlas and making sure that you have that great retention and have that great team.
Yeah, so it starts with communication, and you have to have open communication. And one of the things that my brother and I, we pride ourselves on is everybody has access to us. There's nobody in this company that doesn't have access to the leadership of the company. Anybody, I don't care what position you're in, I don't care how long you've been working for me. If you're a hostess, all the way up to a general manager, they can walk in the office anytime they want and voice any concerns they have. we operate with just full transparency and full disclosure. And so anybody and any employee in our company knows and at any time. And so I think that's important because a lot of times when you have these bigger corporations, you lose sight of that. But I have employees that, 1 o'clock in the morning text me and say, hey, I have an issue with a guest, or I have this going on or that going on. What do you think? And I'll respond. And so I'm super accessible. And I think it starts with, just having that open transparency from the top. But it also comes down to creating a pathway for people in your organization to grow. We've had food runners become servers, servers become bartenders, lead bartenders become managers, managers become DOs. And so people in our organization see the growth and they see people moving within the company with upward trajectory. And I think that, I think that's important. I think that people, when they don't see growth and they see, a restaurant that's been around for 20 years and they've been a server and there's not an opportunity to move up, it becomes difficult. The other thing is we invest in our employees, whether it's insurance, we do life insurance, we do pet insurance, we do all sorts of different things for them in that aspect. We were the first in the state that I'm aware of to guarantee a $15 minimum wage. And this is right after the pandemic. And so, we, even though we have tipped employees and we do have a tip credit in some of our stores, we do have a guaranteed minimum wage in our company, which not many other hospitality companies I'm aware of do that. We want to make sure that, people can pay their bills and, there's a base wage that you come into our organization with. So we're doing the things that not many other hospitality companies do. But I will leave you with this. I think that the most important thing that we do is community engagement. To have all of our employees tied in together, doing charitable giving and charitable participation within the community, that's a sign of a strong organization. When you put out a note saying, hey, we want, the staff to come and pick up trash on a Monday morning, and you have 400 people show up to pick trash or pick up trash around your city, that tells you how strong our family is here. And that's a communication we're getting in a lot of these community efforts. So it's great.
I imagine you have a lot of other Baltimore natives on your staff too, so there must be some sense of being a part of the impact in your own city that also is a draw for your employees.
No question. And, it's our goal to continue to grow that in other markets we're in. We're starting to do that now in Houston. Obviously, the more employees you have in a centralized location, the more bandwidth you can create. And so it's our goal as we multiply in these other markets to do something similar.
Yeah. So you mentioned bringing on high quality talent. What's key to that? Because that's been really hard for the industry the last couple of years, is recruiting strong employees. How do you get out there and find those people who are going to help to grow Atlas Concepts?
Well, I can tell you, one of the things we're doing is we look all over the country. And we're looking for people that, are willing to take a chance on our cities, the cities that we're in, whether it's Houston or Baltimore. The number one thing with employees is they have to want to be there. And, I've had people that come down from New York and they walk around Baltimore and they're like, this city's just not big enough for me. And that's okay. So I think finding people that, and vice versa, there's people that come down from New York and they say, wow, I can buy a house for this and move my family here. And, the school system's great and taxes are less. And, this Baltimore and Maryland is a place I want to live. So it starts with, not necessarily the company, but looking at the employee and everybody around them, and saying, listen, is this a place that you're going to be happy, that your family's going to thrive, that you're going to thrive? And in your off time, you can enjoy going to the park and going to an Oriole game and doing things that you want to do to basically fulfill yourself outside of work, because work is work. But the main thing we try and do is make sure that whoever moves to a particular area is going to be happy with where they are when they're not at work. So it starts with that. And then once again, just going out there, meeting people, talking to people in other markets, and trying to attract them to what we're doing, which is growing. I think people are attracted to the fact that they have upward mobility with us. We're transparent people. What we say we're going to do, we follow through on. And so I think that helps us.
Sure. Going back to the concept of technology, I'm curious your perspective because technology obviously is taking over the restaurant industry in big ways and small, and certainly that's in front of house ways with some of the certainly QSR and fast casual concepts. But I've talked to a lot of people recently where technology is really helping in the back of house too, which I imagine you're not throwing out kiosks into the dining rooms of Atlas Concepts anytime soon. But you might look into ways you can automate some processes in the kitchen, things like that. Have you looked at technology for not necessarily replacing any of your people, but can you augment these positions through technology to further emphasize Atlas as a place to work?
Yeah, no question. I think so. We did a company-wide switch to Toast last year. I think it's incredibly valuable platform and software. They're the thing that's giving us a lot of belief in Toast is, and as far as tech is we're developing a proprietary app to go along with it to really narrow in on what our customers want. It allows us to build a reward system. It can allow us to build a subscription-based model, so you can have a recurring revenue stream for restaurants, especially when you have 24 in one state or one area. That's incredibly valuable. But what we've also seen, and when you're talking about being helpful to staff, is some of our bigger properties with large outdoor patios. The Toast handhelds allowing people to take real-time orders at the table rather than have to go to a service station is allowing us to not only make orders more accurate, allow things to move faster in the kitchen, allowing mobile payments. All those things have helped in those high volume properties where there's not readily service stations available in these large outdoor patios. It's allowed us to get better and also support the employees.
Great. Yeah, and just last question for you, Alex, is just about the potential of the future for Atlas. Because, as I understand it, you guys are well past 100 million in revenue, cruising to 200 million in revenue. A lot of people don't realize, a lot of consumers don't really realize, they see independent restaurants and they see chain restaurants, and they don't understand you're kind of in the middle here where you've got independent restaurants in a collection of restaurants that are at scale. What can you do to leverage that scale to maximize your impact at Atlas? What's your goal with this company as you guys go forward?
Yeah, so our goal is organic, from an equity perspective, is organic growth. I see us growing at like 3-4 units a year, expanding with our own cash flow. There's reason to take on debt. And so we have this organic growth model where, in 10 years, we could have, 80, 90 units and, be in that, let us entertain you or bigger category, Hillstone type of category. The other thing that we can do is look at management deals and contracts. A lot of hotels right now are looking to restaurateurs, from a management perspective to offload some of their F&B because they don't want to hire teams, train teams or develop teams to have to deal with it. And so there's a whole management side to our business that we're getting involved in now. We're looking at a number of hotel deals where it's kind of a branch of what we're doing. But once again, although it's not as lucrative as the equity deals, it allows us to not only scale, but have more buying power when it comes to purchasing and things of that nature. As you know, the restaurants are a pennies business, and the more scale you have, the more profitability you will have. So.
That's great. Alex Smith of Atlas Restaurant Group. Alex, appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining me.
I'm Sam.
Are you interested in making milkshakes or smoothies at the push of a button? With no measuring, scooping, or pouring required, For Real by Riches offers pre-made milkshakes that you'll be able to customize and serve in under a minute. Plus, the blender only takes up 9 inches of counter space and plugs into a standard 120-volt outlet. Could it get any easier? The answer is yes. Check out the For Real by Riches B7 blender today. Restaurant leaders need 2 things to grow their businesses. They need connections to better inform their decision-making, and they need a break. Running a restaurant company is hard work. Nation's Restaurant News is offering both this fall at our Create Experience. Held October 1st through 3rd in beautiful Palm Springs, California, the Create Experience promises to be an unforgettable 3 days for growth-minded restaurateurs. Better yet, it's totally free for restaurant leaders. Join us in Palm Springs to be a part of this one-of-a-kind experience. Visit create.nrn.com/Palm Springs to learn more and to register. That's create.nrn.com/Palm Springs. That was my interview with Alex Smith, the president and founder of Atlas Restaurant Group. So what should you learn from this interview? Here are my 6 takeaways. My first takeaway is that restaurants have the power to transform cities. Alex is out to do that with Baltimore. He's clearly very passionate about his home city. And with his restaurants, he's really trying to revitalize the area. I think this is an incredible impact that you can make through restaurants on cities. I mentioned in the interview, I saw this firsthand when I lived in Durham, North Carolina. But there are countless cities all over the country experiencing this same thing, where restaurants come in, they provide an incredible business for a downtown or a neighborhood for people to come in, and then one thing sort of builds on another, and all of a sudden you have a revitalized neighborhood and city. Restaurants are really the linchpin to do something like this because they give people a place to congregate. I think this is really cool what Atlas Restaurant Group is doing in Baltimore, and it is absolutely applicable to other cities around the country. And there's a great opportunity to not only rally your troops, get your people invested in it, get them excited about the community and providing for the community, but it's a way to give back as well and to revitalize historic spaces, be able to have a city embrace its culture through the restaurant industry. My second takeaway is that diversifying your concepts deepens the potential in each market where you operate. So they have over 30 concepts in the portfolio at Atlas Restaurant Group, and there's a reason why they do that. That's because you can't put 30 units of one concept into one city. It would be too saturated. To maximize their impact, Alex talked about the fact that Atlas has diversified those concepts, so they have many more businesses that they can put into the city of Baltimore to be able to, again, bring that impact that they're looking for, the revitalization of the city. And then it gives them more options as they expand into other cities as well. They have a whole portfolio of concepts that they can pick and choose depending on the needs of the other cities in which they move into. My third takeaway is that you build restaurants to last 20 plus years, not 2 or 3 years. Seems obvious, but a great point that Alex made here when he talked about investing in these high-end restaurants that are a little bit more timeless and classic in their appeal. He's not chasing trends. He's not looking for the next concept that is appealing to customers that might resonate for a few years before you have to rebrand and redesign and reconcept the thing. He's looking to build restaurants that can last for the long term. It's good to remember that because there are some things, some menus and designs that might last a long time, and some that might be, a flash in the pan or pop in at one point in time, but down the road feel very tired. Think about ways that you can add these timeless aspects to your own restaurant so that it has that longevity. My fourth takeaway is that the higher quality experience you provide, the easier it is to find high quality managers. Atlas is really committed to these higher end concepts, again, as I mentioned. And part of the reason, as Alex described, is because they can recruit really talented people. Not to throw fast casual under the bus, but he talked about the fact that your fast casual concepts, in recruiting for those, it's a little bit harder to appeal because you're not able to pay them as much. You're not able to provide the same kind of incentives as you can at a high-end concept. So the retention, the recruitment that they're doing at Atlas is very strong because of the high-end concepts that they're providing and the ability that unlocks to pay these people well and to provide incredible incentives and to invest in them in that system. My fifth takeaway is that live entertainment offers both a unique experience and an economic opportunity. I thought it was interesting when Alex in this conversation sort of lumped live music in with entertainment concepts, but he's not wrong when you think about the fact that entertainment, you're providing an experience, and whether that experience is bowling or throwing darts or listening to live music, it's still an upscale experience you're providing for your guests. And all of that also invests in the community, because live entertainment, bands, local artists, all of these people are of your community. And by hiring them, bringing them into your business, you're further pumping dollars into the local economy, further supporting small businesses and independent businesses. This is a great reminder as entertainment takes off, as experiences in restaurants take off. Look around you, look in your communities for those people, those artists, those entertainers who can provide some experiences within your restaurants, because then you can, again, give back to the community in that way. My sixth and final takeaway is that connection to the community is an excellent retention strategy. So Atlas is really known for their ability to recruit high-quality team members, but keep them around. They've got 2,000 team members now across their 30-plus concepts. And that's been particularly the case in the last couple of years that have been very difficult for labor. They've still been able to recruit and retain people. And Alex talked about the fact that one of the reasons is they invest in their communities through community service and giving back. And that connection to the community really appeals to existing employees, but potential employees as well. Continue to plug your own employees into your community, to continue to show your neighborhood, your city, that you're invested, because it will appeal to people who want to be a part of your team. Those are all my takeaways for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please remember to subscribe to Takeaway wherever you listen to podcasts and leave your feedback. You can also email me at sam.oches@informa.com. Thanks again, and talk to you next week.